What up? What up? This is KP. Just tapping in with a real quick story. Uh, as I look at my beanie. Um, but this was the one time that I was out in East Chicago, Indiana, where I was born. I grew up in Denver, and in Denver, I grew up around gangs. I hung around a bunch of Crips, and in Denver, they only trip off of colors. So you know what I'm saying? It's either gonna be blue or it's gonna be red, the most dominant two colors. But anyway, I was in Indiana where I was born. It's probably like 2004 or somewhere around there, 2003, 2004. But anyways, I was there visiting, um, and I was with all my cousins, and all my cousins they all GDs and things like that. So I knew what they was just from talking to them, but I never knew how all the stuff worked in that area or just like that period. So I knew there was gangs. I just didn't know how they run their gangs. So, anyways, what ended up happening, it was in the winter time, so it was super cold. Um, and I remember it was cold. I had my coat on, and if you know Indiana or East Chicago where that's at, you got Lake Michigan, which is right across the way, and that cold air comes off of that lake, and it makes it super cold. Like boy, your nose free, your nose hair be icicles. But anyway, I had went into a store and got me a beanie, and with this beanie, it uh it had Chicago written on it. I remember it was a gray beanie with the Chicago in cursive all the way spelled out. So again, just like I just had this beanie on, I put the beanie on, and again, I just threw the beanie on, and it was like this on my ears. But what ended up happening is the Chicago was all to this way. So as I'm standing there with my cousins, we all just outside chilling, got the beanie and put it on this on that side like that. Um, there's a young fella that keeps staring at me, like mugging me. I'm like, damn. So I see him mugging me. He's standing right in front of me. I'm like, damn, what's this fool keep staring at? And again, I'm sitting with all my cousins, so it's like I ain't too much tripping, but I'm still tripping because I mean, I grew up in Denver, and I said again, I had to always be on alert. But now I'm like with my cousins in a whole another state, so I'm still alert, but just like trying to figure out what's going on. So anyway, the little fool kept staring at me, and I'm looking back at him, and then finally I say something to my cousin, like one of my cousins that was next to me. I said, "Man, who's this little fool over here?" Um, he was like, "Who?" I said, "This little fool over here. Like he just keeps staring at me." So he said the little fella's name or whatever. Then I go about my business. It's still okay, but I'm still looking at the fool. He's still staring at me. So now, like he pulls up his shirt and flashes his gun. So he got his gun sitting in his belt in his little waistline. So now I'm looking like, damn. First he's staring at me. Now he's trying to flash his gun. Like so now I'm like, okay. So I let my cousin know again, like, hey, this little fool over here over trying to flash his gun. I said, is he tripping or what? I said, because again, I don't know him. He don't know me. But I'm thinking maybe he's just looking at me because, again, I'm a new face and I'm just out there comfortably sitting with all of them. And he's not know who I am and I'm not know who he is. So then my cousin finally goes over and says something to him. And as he's talking to him, I hear him like getting amped up and all that. I said, I'm like, what this fool mad at? So then as they talking, I hear him tell my cousin, well, shoot, tell him to turn his hat straight. And I hear something like, turn my hat straight. So I remember like tapping on my head, like, turn my hat straight. So I'm thinking like something wrong, not realizing what he's talking about. But then he's still just saying it. And then my cousin telling like, no, nigga, you ain't finna do nothing. Like, that's my cousin. Like, nah, he from Denver. He don't get down like that. They don't bang like that with that type stuff. And I'm still just listening to him, but he's still like mad about it. Like, well, tell him to turn his head straight. You tell him. So I finally say something like, what you want me? What you mean turn my head straight? Like, what do you mean turn my head straight? So he comes closer to me, and then he starts telling me the same thing. Like, oh, you got that hat, and it's all turned to the left side. So I had to like pull it off like my head, like, dang, like, what are you tripping for? But that's when he told me, like, no, you got that hat and the letters over there to the left side. I said, oh, I said, well, I don't know. I said, where I'm from, I turn my hat left all the time. I said, but it ain't got nothing to do with that type of stuff. I said, our, yeah, in Denver, yes, the Crips do wear their hat or wear their bandana to the left, and that's how you know that. And Bloods wear their red bandanas to the right. Um, but never in Denver will you hear anybody be gang banging on what side your hat is facing. Like, never have I ever heard it, and still ain't heard it. But nah, so we ended up talking, and I just told him, I said, man, you could have told me that off top, like that what it was. He's like, well, I didn't know who you was, and I just thought you was just over here. So I was trying to figure it out. I said, no. So again, we started talking, and everything was cool. Um, but that all got situated. But that was what I'm telling this story for, is because that's when I learned my lesson. So like I done been to other states plenty of other times. I done been to other little cities and hoods and all that. But every time I go somewhere, I know to make sure pretty much, I mean, I know what cities got what gangs in there. So like, but most of the cities I've been in, it's usually Bloods and Crips. So I know if I go to Cali or somewhere, I know I better be careful if I'm wearing blue or red, because them is gonna be the most predominant colors there. There's other colors, but them is gonna be the main two that I'm quite sure somebody gonna trip off of. I done been to like Kansas City. It's kind of the same thing. When I went to Kansas City one time, I just knew not to wear my Broncos hat or nothing with Denver on it, because I felt like anything with Broncos was going to get a problem, which I got a story about that too, because I had to tell my cousin one time we went to Kansas City that you're not going to wear that Broncos hat in this club, because I'm not going to be fighting over something like for a team I don't play for, period. But we ain't finna fight over no Broncos hat, so you're leaving that Broncos hat thing. But like I said, this is the first time I had really got out and was out there in Indiana like that. I mean, and in Chicago area, uh, that I found out like you really got to make sure wherever you go that you figure out what dress code you in, because you don't want to be one that ends up getting hurt or killed or something over some. It could be some gang related situation, and of what you might be wearing. Because I mean, like I said, I grew up around Crips, so I know I could see somebody with a hat on for sure, and can tell by the hat he got on in certain neighborhoods like that. I could tell what hat they might have on. I could say, okay, yeah, he's this or he's that or something like that. But with this situation, it was just crazy to know, like, cause I mean, even that whole time I was in Indiana, I had to pay attention to my clothes now, because I'm thinking like, shoot, are they tripping off like the logo on shirts? I'm thinking like, shoot, should I wear this shirt because this logo's on the left side? So I mean, are they gonna come and trip with me because this logo on my shirt is to the left side? So I remember that, because I was like, let me just make sure while I'm here, I'm gonna just get plain t-shirts and just wear plain t-shirts, because I'm like, I ain't finna be getting caught up in something like that, because again, I'm out here, and that at that moment that I just spoke on, all my cousins was out there. So again, my cousins are, they pretty much run that streets in that neighborhood that we from in East Chicago. If you from East Chicago and you see this, you know the harbor is where all my family's at. If I say the last name, people that know, they'll know the same thing. Like, oh yeah, they know that my family is with it. So again, I'm thinking if I would have been somewhere else and not with all my family, or with my family and some other ones didn't know no different or didn't care, that whole situation could have went left literally because of my hat being worn to the left. But nah, but again, as I'm finna get out of here, just make sure when you go somewhere that you know your surroundings. You make sure if you know them places got gangs, you might want to figure out that you don't put yourself in a predicament or in a certain color or anything left or right. And I don't know if I know with gangbang with Bloods and Crips, that's still a thing. Ain't too many people wearing bandanas, but you can still kind of tell what's what. I don't know if they do left and right still in Chicago and Indiana areas like that. But again, if you're getting out somewhere or you one of them places, make sure you on the straight and narrow and you are wearing the right thing. I said, yeah, in them places you it's so many colors and stuff you never know that people wear. Like pink ain't even safe these days. That somebody might knock you off because they might be something with pink on. But anyways, that's my story on that one. Peace.